بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Okay, so today's lecture basically about three. I split it into four chapters actually. And the first one is going to be the superiority of Arabians above non-Arabians, and what Islam says about it, and what Rasulullah says about it. I made it into two different chapters. And the second is going to be about the slavery in Islam. Again, I made it into two different chapters. The first chapter is about, I quoted the main texts from Quran and Sunnah, whatever we can find about slavery in Quran and Sunnah. Okay, everything, as well as including that Rasulullah had over 60 slaves, as well as Sayyida Aisha had over 60 slaves, and Isa had nothing, and etc. And the second part of the same topic, it will be, so first part is about what Quran and Hadith says about the slavery. And the second part is about what Muslim scholars say about slavery. So, and I will be mainly quoting from Hanafi position. So that's the main thing. Anyway, so in terms of Arabians being better than non-Arabians, so it is, as everyone knows, it's mainly the position of Imam, they quoted from Imam Ahmad, but through Ibn Taymiyyah, okay? And just I may read the quotation from Ibn Taymiyyah in his book called Iqtida as-Sirat al-Mustaqim. It's a very famous book, at page number 148. So anyway, so after long conversation with many groups, he says, وَنَعْرِفُ لِلْعَرَبِ حَقَّهَا وَفَضْلَهَا وَسَابِقَتَهَا وَنُحِبُّهُمْ لِحَدِيثِ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم حب العرب إيمان وبغضهم نفاق ولا نقول بقول الشعوبية وأرذل الموالي الذين لا يحبون العرب ولا يقرون بفضلهم فإن قولهم بدعة وخلاف السنة انتهى. So the translation of that is, we do recognize and we do admit the virtues of the Arabians, and we do admit their right above us, as well as we do admit that they are the first earliest followers of the Prophet ﷺ, and we love Arabians because of the following hadith in which Rasulullah says, loving the Arabians is Iman and hating them is hypocrisy. And we do not follow the non-Arabian people who, so he says Shu'ubiyya. Shu'ubiyya means it is the people who used to give the superiority for non-Arabians above Arabians. So it is mainly Persians, okay? Because Persians, when they became Muslims, they said Arabians, they were Bedouins when we had our high civilization. Okay, so it's like وَأَرْذَلِ الْمُوَالِي, and we do not follow the miserable slaves, okay, who have been captured as slaves and afterward freed. And now them non-Arabians are being arrogant above Arabians. So those non-Arabians who hate Arabians, so we do not follow them. And those non-Arabians, لا يقرون بفضلهم, they do not admit the virtues of the Arabians and their superiority. Why? Because فَإِنَّ قَوْلَهُمْ بِدْعَةٌ, because what they are saying is bid'ah. Okay, and that is incorrect statement. So that what actually Ibn Taymiyyah says. Okay, and, but anyway, حُبُّ الْعَرَبِ إِيمَانٌ وَبُغْضُهُمْ نِفَاقٌ, that is weak hadith. Okay, so it has been just neglected by the scholars. Okay, but in terms of so as you can see now, it is two things. We do not follow this and we do not follow that. So we do not say that non-Arabians are better, as well as we do not hate Arabians, and in the same time we do not say Arabians are better, okay, and etc. So then, as well as, and further down, Ibn Taymiyyah says, فَإِنَّ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِ أَهْلُ السُنَّةِ وَالْجَمَاعَةِ, and the position of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, okay, and it's very common habit of Ibn Taymiyyah. Whenever he makes his own statement, straight away it is the position of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So we have to understand his terminology. When he says Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, he means himself actually. Okay, and he tries to make everyone to be on that position if he's from Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So he says, اعتقاد أن جنس العرب أفضل من جنس العجم. So the position of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah that Arabians in generally they are better than non-Arabians. It doesn't matter if it is Jews or Syrians or Romans or Persians and etc., including Turks, blacks, whites, everyone. وأن قريشا أفضل من الأفضل العرب, and Qurayshis are the best of amongst Arabians. وأن بني هاشم أفضل قريش, and Hashimis are the best of Qurayshis. وأن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أفضل بني هاشم, and Rasulullah عليه الصلاة والسلام is the best amongst Bani Hashim. In this, the last statement, there is no any dispute on it. فهو أفضل الخلق نفسا وأفضلهم نسبا. So Rasulullah is the best in terms of himself and best in terms of his lineage. There is no any virtue in it. And then he says, وليس فضل العرب ثم قريش ثم بني هاشم بمجرد كون النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم منهم. So he says, Arabians being better than anyone else, it's not because the Prophet is with them. It's not because of the Prophet. Okay, so according to him, it is the position of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. But further down, inshallah, you will see that Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi, he says that وَلَأَنَّ الْعَرَبَ, so it is in his book called Al-Mughni, a book of Ibn Qudama, in Hanbali text. So in there he says, وَلَأَنَّ الْعَرَبَ فُضِّلَتْ عَلَى الْأُمَمِ بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, and Arabians became better because of the Prophet. So as you can see, Ibn Taymiyyah doesn't follow Hanbali position also. It is his own position actually. So anyway, so that is the main statement of Ibn Taymiyyah. And further, the brothers quoting that we Hanafis will have something called kufu, kafa'a. Okay, and it's not only in Hanafi madhab, it's in 4 madhahib. Okay, inshallah, I will mention that, inshallah. So, and in there we Hanafis say that non-Arabians are not equal to Arabians. Okay, so it is another proof for them to say that Arabians are superior above non-Arabians. So anyway, so let's go back to the Quranic verses. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hujurat, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. O human being, we have created you from one man and from one woman, and we made you into the nations and tribes, not to show the superiority of each other, but لتعارفوا, so you can recognize each other. Okay, because as you know, religiously, a human being is responsible to take care of his relatives. And what's the meaning of a relative? It is the tribe. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala splitting us into the tribes is not to show that one is better than the other, but because of one reason, which Allah says, لِتَعَارَفُوا, so you can recognize your own relatives. Okay, and anyone who says that it's because to prove that some tribe is better than the other, so it's actually going against this ayah. And further down Allah says, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ, and the best amongst you in front of God is the one who has better taqwa. Okay, so that's done. And further, Rasulullah says in hadith narrated by Imam Tirmidhi, لا فضل لعربين على أعجمي. There is no any superiority for the Arabian above non-Arabian, ولا لعجمي على عربين, and there is no any superiority for non-Arabian above Arabian, ولا لأبيض على أسود ولا لأسود على أبيض, and there is no any superiority between white and black, إلا بالتقوى, except by taqwa, confirming the same meaning which came in Surah Al-Hujurat, the thing which we mentioned. And then Rasulullah carry on saying in the same hadith, الناس من آدم وآدم من تراب. All of a human being are from Adam and Adam from dust. Okay, so it's very obvious. But in the same time, we do not hate Arabians or non-Arabians. But what we're trying to say, there is no superiority. Just you are born as Arabian, it doesn't make you to go to paradise, and because I'm Turkish, I'm going to the hell. There is no such thing in Islam. Okay? Yeah?
Sheikh, Ibn Taymiyyah's position is that not due to the fact of Rasulullah being amongst them.
Yeah.
Like, for example, even today, if there's some very, very famous Englishman and the whole world knows about him, then it's like the status of Englishman in the eyes of even the world, it will be more because of that famous person.
Yeah.
Is Ibn Taymiyyah saying it's not because
it's not because of that?
So why, it's from birth, like let's say I'm a baby.
Yeah.
So I'm better just for being
why you are better? Because you are Arabian. It's not because Prophet is from you.
So even before Prophet, the Arabs were better?
Exactly, so that's what he's trying to say, yeah. But as you could see, Ibn Qudama quoted the position of Hanbalis. So in this statement, Ibn Taymiyyah wasn't Hanbali.
Right, yeah.
So he was his own thing, but then he said it is the position of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Okay, so it's Ibn Taymiyyah has two main issues, which is very common. So most of the time he claims ijma. Okay, and there may not be ijma all the time. And most of the time he claims that that's the Ahlul Sunnah, and it may not be. Okay, so it's just, we need to be cautious. Anyway, as you could see, Ibn Qudama said that Arabians being, their virtue, the virtue of Arabian, because the Prophet is from them. Okay, so for example, if I hate Arabians, and with no any reason, okay, so then if the reason is because Rasulullah is from there, that may constitute kufr. So it is because of hating the Prophet, non-Arabians. So it is nothing to do with Arabian and non-Arabian. It's only because of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then next hadith, hadith is in Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi, from Abu Hurairah and Ibn Umar. إن الله قد أذهب عنكم عيبة الجاهلية أو عبية الجاهلية وفخرها بالآباء مؤمن تقي أو فاجر شقي أنتم بنو آدم وآدم من تراب. All people, Allah did remove the filth and bad ideologies of the Jahiliyyah. And what is the ideologies of Jahiliyyah? فخرها بالآباء. By being proud by your lineage, by your fathers and sisters. So Rasulullah said, so now when Allah did remove all of that filth, so now either mu'min taqi, obedient believer, or fajirun shaqi, or disobedient person. Okay, so that is only the distinguishing. Arabian, non-Arabian does not exist no more. And then he said, Antum banu Adam, all of you are sons of Adam, wa Adam min turab, and Adam is from the dust. That's easy. And the next hadith is narrated in Musnad Imam Ahmad. يا أيها الناس, O people, ألا إن ربكم واحد, ألا وإن أباكم واحد, ألا لا فضل لعربين على عرب. O people, be noted that your creator is one and your father is one. ألا, be noted, لا فضل لعربين على. There is no any superiority of Arabian above non-Arabian. ألا لا فضل لأسود على أحمر. And there is no superiority of black above red. Ahmar is mainly like Chinese and our type of a people. إلا بالتقوى, except by taqwa. ألا قد بلغت. All people, be noted because I did pass it on to you. قالوا, they said, نعم. They said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, you did pass it on to us. Rasulullah said, ليبلغ الشاهد الغائب. So let the one who is present today pass it on to the one who is absent. Okay, so it is. Next hadith is narrated by Ubay ibn Ka'b. It is in the collection of Musnad Imam Ahmad and Sunan al-Nasa'i. Rasulullah says, "Man ta'azza bi'aza'il jahiliyya fa'adhuhu bihanni abihi wa la tukannu." Anyone who will be proud by the being proud of the jahiliyya, means by tribes, okay, or saying I'm Turkish, I'm the best, I'm Arabian, I'm the best. So Rasulullah said, فَأَعْضُوهُ بِهَنِّ أَبِي. So remind him the miserable positions of his father. وَلَا تُكَنُّ. And do not make it hidden, like indirect. Say it directly. Okay, for example, don't you remember your father did this? So because he's saying, I'm the best, you know, like my ancestors are. So remind the miserable things of his ancestors. Okay, don't you remember your fathers used to worship, for example, dates? Arabians, Qurayshis in the Jahiliyyah time. Okay, so remind, wala tukannu, and do not make it indirect. Make it very openly. So let him to shut up actually. Yeah. Okay, so, and we can carry on mentioning that type of ahadith. So I think that much should be enough. And then, in terms of what they're trying to prove from the Hanafi position in terms of kufr, as you know, so concept of kufr is totally different. Okay, so anyway, now let's put the concept of kufr aside. Let's try to understand what are the categories or criteria of kufr in Hanafi madhab. We say first is lineage, and the second is profession, okay, and third is the wealth, status of the wealth, okay, and one of them is being Muslim by both of your parents or only by one of them or only on your own. Okay, so that also considers. So now, let's forget about Arabian and non-Arabian. For example, we say, according to Hanafi madhab, we say, so daughter of president, okay, in Hanafi madhab, will not be equal to someone who is working in non-respectable, for example, profession. What is a non-respectable profession? Every place, they have their own non-respectable profession. Am I right? So, for example, in Japan, one of the very highly respected profession is to clean the streets. They respect, Japanese people respect them a lot. But in Uzbekistan, they're not very respected. So, young man who is, for example, who cleans the streets, so he will not be able to marry the daughter of president because there is no kafa. So, if the concept of kafa is the superiority of the person, so then does it mean that we Hanafis believe that daughter of president is much better in front of God than the one who cleans the street? We do not say that. Do you understand what I mean? So the concept of kafa in Hanafi madhab, because we Hanafis, we give the choice of marrying or non-marrying to the lady. Do you understand what I mean? For example, let's suppose that my daughter, as soon as she becomes mature, I cannot make her to marry someone, or if someone comes and she says, okay, I'm marrying you, I cannot say no. Understanding? So then, concept of kafa'a will come, because we as Asians, we will get offended, or we will have some problem with non-successful marriage. Am I right? Because people will blame us. Do you understand? And Islamically, no one has the right to put a hardship on top of anyone else. So, just by Hanafis giving the right of marriage to the daughter, so Hanafis has to protect the father also. Do you understand what I mean? So, when we give Hanafis, give the right of marrying to my daughter, so if she will make a wrong choice, people will start making fun of me. Because that's how people work, do you understand? With us, Asians. So when I will be working, people will make fun of me, etc. So then, does it mean that Hanafis, by giving the right to my daughter, they neglected my right? We say no. But Sharia gave me a right of invalidating that marriage if it is not standard. Did you understand? So that is the concept of the kafa'a. Okay, but it's nothing to do that, for example, Arabian lady being better in front of God than non-Arabian young man. It's nothing to do with that. Okay, but anyway, so even in Hanbali madhab, they do have the kafa'a, and kafa'a is considered by the following things. The first is religion, and the second is profession, and then the next is freedom or slavery. And then the next is the position, status, social status, and the next one is the wealth. Okay, so that's the Hanbali. And the Shafi'i position is religion and freedom and lineage and profession and being free from the defects, physical defects. And Hanafis, it is religion and freedom and lineage and profession and being able to maintain the family. So these is the criteria of the kafa. And it is nothing to do with, for example, poor man being less than rich lady. It's just only to avoid the blame from the family. It does make sense. Yeah. So concept of the kafa is slightly different. Did you understand that?
Are you saying kafa is actually not relevant to this discussion?
Who is good and who is bad? But because we Hanafis, we're giving the right of marriage to the lady. So by doing so, there is high risk of my daughter choosing someone, okay, and then people will start making fun of me. Because people speak, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we Asians, we speak. Okay, say, you know that person actually married off his daughter to so on, and people, you know. So just to avoid that hardship from the parents, Sharia gave the right of invalidating the marriage to the father by using the criteria of kafa'a. So that's the main concept of kafa'a. So it is nothing to do with who is better and who is worse actually.
But I've read some very harsh statements, like I believe it's in Behishti Zever, which is a Hanafi book, supposed to be from India, and they said the daughter of basically a non-Arab can never be a match for an Arab.
It's because of that. So, because Arabians, let me read from Al-Mughni, which is the Hanbali text. It is the same concept even in us.
But if they say it like that, it sounds very harsh.
Of course, that's incorrect. Look. So Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi is actually mentioning that in Hanbali madhab they do consider the lineage also, Arabians and non-Arabians. Okay, so a non-Arabian cannot marry the Arabian if father of that lady will say no. Why? So Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi is giving proof for that, explanation. وَلِأَنَّ الْعَرَبَ يَعُدُّونَ الْكَفَاءَةَ فِي النَّسَبِ وَيَأْنَفُونَ مِنْ نِكَاحِ الْمَوَالِي وَيَرَوْنَ ذَلِكَ نَقْصًا وَعَارًا. So then he says, because Arabians, they do consider the standards, you know, they do mind about it. وَيَأْنَفُونَ مِنْ نِكَاحِ الْمَوَالِي, and they are very proud of marrying of their daughters to non-Arabians. وَيَرَوْنَ ذَلِكَ نَقْصًا وَعَارًا, and they do find it some miserable and blameworthy thing. Did you understand? So just to protect the father, but it's not because Arabians are better, but because Arabians find it a not good job, you know, to marry off your daughter to non-Arabian. So let's suppose that I'm Arabian, I marry off my daughter to non-Arabian, and if I would be in Saudi, people would find it, you know, and if I would go to meet with them, I would feel that pressure, you know. I would be just neglected, you know. So just to avoid that, Sharia has given the right of invalidating the marriage to the father, and that right, we call it the right of kafa'a. Okay, so right of kafa'a, what you can do, because your daughter can marry anyone that she wants, so if she will marry someone who doesn't match with her, so you as father can invalidate that marriage using this right actually. Okay, you will go to the court saying, actually so and happened, and there is no standard of it. Okay, so it is nothing to do with who is superior and who is not superior.
So Sheikh, what some of the girls will be thinking maybe is, let's say there's a dispute between, let's Hanafi madhab, the daughter and the father. So the daughter marries a guy, he's pious, but he is non-Arab or non-Indian or whatever. Because everyone then makes this argument, same with Indians, they'll say same thing, oh, how can you marry black guy, for example, right? Let's just say. So let's say she marries a pious guy, but he's not the same lineage, and when the father goes to a qazi or a court, he has a marriage like kafa. Can she also then go to the court and say, when my father is doing injustice because he's not marrying me to the person, he's only looking at lineage? Is there some right of appeal that the woman has?
First of all, lady, marrying herself, it's her right. And in Hanafi madhab, we have only 3 levels of the lineage. So it is Qurayshi, Arabian, and non-Arabian. So all of non-Arabians are equal.
Right.
All of Arabians are equal in terms of standard, and all of Qurayshis are equal in terms of standard. So I am, as Turkish, I can marry Indian lady or Pakistani lady.
That's not a kafa in Hanafi madhab.
Nothing to do with the kafa, because all of non-Arabians are same.
Right.
Yeah. So and also the meaning of Arabian in Hanafi madhab, you know your lineage back to one of the tribes. So you can say, I am Fulan bin Fulan bin Fulan bin Fulan, and you do have it sealed, you know. So most of the Egyptians are not Arabians according to Hanafis. Most of Lebanese and all of them people, Libyans and Algerians in Hanafi madhab, they are non-Arabians. Arabian means you are from one of the Arabian tribe and you do have your lineage and you can prove it. Okay, so that's the meaning of being Arabian.
So actually talking about this in books from Indian subcontinent in Hanafi madhab is pointless, because I don't know why they made such a big deal.
Yeah.
Because in India, Pakistan, there's actually every second person is saying I'm Sayyid, but that's different.
Yeah,
but
well,
you know, there's not any different races in Hanafi madhab. It's same, like Pakistani, Chinese, Indian, Russian. It doesn't matter.
Of
right?
course,
Okay.
no, even in Hanafi madhab, we have a concept of man of knowledge being better than Qurayshi.
Oh right.
I am Turkish, but I have knowledge. I'm coming from very low lineage, but if I have a knowledge, I can marry Sayyida lady, and no one can dispute that marriage by kafa'a, because knowledge is better than on all of the standards of the lineage.
But that's very interesting, because again, the Hanafi manual specifically said that even if a person is a great scholar, that can never be a match.
No.
So that's going against.
You know, Mu'tamad books, you can find it in Fatawa Shamia as well as Fath Bab al-Inaya. So we do have that statement. So man of knowledge is above anyone who comes with a lineage.
Okay.
Yeah, and also we do have an issue about man of knowledge. So 3 people in Hanafi, 3 people coming. One is old person, okay, but ignorant, and one is Sayyid from Ahl al-Bayt, and one is knowledgeable but young man. Okay, so in Hanafi madhab we say the young scholar has more right to go and to show respect to him.
Right.
And others will come in the second level actually. So age and lineage will be less than knowledge.
Right.
So it is in our Hanafi books actually.
Okay.
And also one thing, I don't want to be offensive, but sometimes I do get, even from the books, from Hanafi subcontinent scholars, and we find a bit strange things in there, you know. You know, for example, in one of the books, it says that if you pray behind someone, okay, who has a shaven beard, you have to repeat your salah. It is in their authentic books, you know, but it's not in Hanafi book. Yeah, so that's one thing. Or in one of the Aqeeda books, again from subcontinent, they say, okay, the sifat of Allah are 7. Ash'ari is misquotation, Ash'ari position. And then after that he says, but if someone neglects them all, is he still Muslim or not? So there is disagreement. There is no any disagreement, but he says there is disagreement. And Mu'tamad, official position, that he's still Muslim. So 7 sifat, what are they? It is existence of God, and his ability, being qudra, sama, hearing and seeing and etc. So after denying existence of God, how you can stay mu'min? It's a bit strange, you know. So I would say maybe we should just go to the classical Arabic Hanafi texts, maybe. Yeah, because we don't know who are the authors of these books. Maybe they were great people, but person is can make he can make mistakes, you know. So Allah Alam. And further, just to back up, because the brothers were insisting that Arabians are better than non-Arabians. So further, I want to quote some of the ahadith in which Rasulullah ﷺ is cursing some certain Arabian tribes. So okay, so here is the hadith narrated in Mustadrak of Hakim so he says after the narration of the hadith, هذا حديث غريب المتن صحيح الإسناد. So he says the chain of the hadith is correct, but in terms of its text, there may be some pick. But anyway, inshallah, I will back up the same narration. So in there, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, أمرني ربي أن ألعن قريشا مرتين فلعنتهم. Allah did order me to curse Quraysh twice, so I did. وأمرني أن أصلي عليهم فصليت عليهم مرتين. And after that, Allah did order me to make dua for them, so I made dua for them twice. Okay. I'm not saying that Qurayshis are miserable because they've been cursed, but I'm trying to back up the point in which Rasulullah did curse some certain Arabian tribes, as well as on the side he did praise some of the Persians and non-Arabian tribes. Okay, so we do not have the concept of Arabian being better, non-Arabian worse. We do not have that. And further, Rasulullah says, لَعَنَ اللَّهُ Tamim bin Murra khamsan. Tamim bin Murra is Tamimis, you know, the Banu Tamim. Allah did curse these tribes 5 times. Tamimis are one of the root, purest Arabian tribe. وَبَكْر bin Wa'il sab'an. And Allah did curse Bakr bin Wa'il 7 times. Bakr bin Wa'il is the grandfather of the Bakris. Okay. And then he says, وَلَعْنَ اللَّهُ قَبِيلَتَيْن مِنْ قَبَائِلِ بَنِي تَمِيمٍ مُقَاعِسْ وَمُلَادِسْ. So then Allah did curse 2 tribes of Banu Tamim, and they are Maqa'is and Maladis. So, as you can see, it's not... and then he says, عَصِيَّ عَصَتِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. And then Asiyya is one of the tribes of the Arabians. They did disobey God and His Messenger. Rasulullah is not speaking about the non-Arabian tribes. It is Arabian tribes. Yeah. Then Rasulullah says, شَرُّ قَبِيلَتَيْنِ فِي الْعَرَبِ نَجْرَانُ وَبَنُو تَغْلُبْ. Says, the worst tribes of Arabians are Najran, Banu Najran and Banu Taghlib. Okay, so it is Syria and Jordan, in that area actually. So as you can see, Rasulullah is cursing some Arabian tribes. It's not easy. Yeah. And if you remember, when the incident of 70 Ansari scholars have been murdered by some tribe. So Rasulullah spent some certain time cursing them, cursing that Arabian tribe. Okay, yeah, and that Arabian tribe is Zakwan and Asiyya wa Bani Luhayyan, them 3 tribes who did kill 70 scholars of the Ansar. Okay, who cheated them. Do you remember? So Rasulullah did curse them, 3 of them, or 4 tribes. Okay, who were engaged into that. Okay, so Tabarani is narrating in Musnad al-Shamiyin also the same hadith in which Rasulullah is cursing the Quraysh twice. Just a moment. And also Rasulullah cursing Quraysh, it has been narrated by Tabarani also. And in terms of إن الله عز وجل أمرني أن ألعن قريشا فلعنتهم مرتين. Allah did order me to curse Quraysh, so I did curse them twice. And then Allah ordered me to pray for them, so I did pray for them twice also. So that is narrated by Tabarani, and its sanad is jayyid, means sahih, authentic. It's not. So we do not have the concept of because you are born as Arabian, so you are better than me because I'm Turkish. So we do not have that. And in terms of the hadith that they are saying, they're claiming to be authentic. So here are the hadith. So حب قريش إيمان وبغضهم كفر وحب العرب إيمان وبغضهم كفر من أحب العرب فقد أحبني ومن أبغض العرب فقد أبغضني. So it is the narration of Tabarani, and hadith is weak, daif, means anyone who loves Quraysh, so that is Iman. Anyone hates them, that is Kufr. Anyone loves Arabians, so that's Iman. Anyone hates them, that is Kufr. And anyone who loves Arabians, so he loves me also. And anyone who hates Arabians, so he hates me also. So we say there is slightly different thing. If someone hates Arabians because the Prophet is Arabian, so there is no dispute that he is kafir. Okay, but for example, you had some problem. You went to different Arabian countries, and each time you had very big problems. And because of that, as a reaction, you have some complex towards Arabians. It's not because Rasulullah is Arabian. So we say, is this kufr? We say no. So hadith means that. Okay, so you hate Arabians, even it's not because you hate the Prophet, but just your own thing. So hadith says that's kufr. As you can see, hadith is weak. And also, the next hadith is also from Ali radiallahu anhu. لا يبغض العرب إلا منافق. Only hypocrite will hate Arabians. Hadith is also weak. And the next hadith is عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنه سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لا يبغض العرب مؤمن ولا يحب ثقيفا مؤمن. No any mu'min will hate Arabians, and no any mu'min will love Banu Thaqif. Banu Thaqif is the tribe in Ta'if, do you remember? And we have Thaqafi Sahaba and Thaqafi Tabi'in also. Hadith is weak, narration of Tabarani. Okay, so, and on the same side, we do have the hadith in which Rasulullah is praising the Persians. Okay, so if you remember, in the surah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَآخَرِينَ مِنْهُمْ لَمَّا يَلْحَقُوا بِهِمْ. And there are some other believers, not yet they are there. Okay, in different ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِن تَتَوَلَّوْا نَسْتَبْدِلْ قَوْمًا غَيْرَكُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَكُونُوا أَمْثَالَكُمْ. But if you, or people, if you will not obey the messenger, so then we will get rid of you and will bring another generation who will be better than you. Okay, so the revelation, so two revelations came, and then Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, who are those people? Okay, so then Salman al-Farsi was there. وضع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يده على سلمان ثم قال لو كان الإيمان عند الثريا لناله رجال من هؤلاء. So Rasulullah said, it is the people from Faris, Persians, and then Rasulullah did put the hand on Sulaiman alayhi salam, saying, in Salman al-Farsi saying, if Iman would be in the planet, okay, so then لَنَالَهُ رِجَالٌ مِّنْ هَؤُلَاء. And so the people from them, they would go to catch it, to bring it. So it is a really beautiful virtue. Yeah, and also, not only, so the same hadith has been narrated not as لو كان الإيمان, but لو كان الدين, religion, and in different narration لو كان العلم. Okay, as so Iman and religion and knowledge. So people from the descendants or from the tribe of Salman al-Farsi would get it. Okay, so as you can see, Rasulullah is not speaking negatively about Persians, but he's speaking very positively, you know. So we do not have such concept that because you are Persian, you are low. We do not have that. So the same hadith has been narrated. Rasulullah says, بِرِقَّةِ قُلُوبِهِمْ. So they would gain that knowledge because of the softness of their heart. It is really great, like a virtue. Okay, and in the same hadith narrated in different narration, in Musnad of Tamimi, Musnad Tamimi, in which he says, يَتَّبِعُونَ سُنَّتِي وَيُكْثِرُونَ الصَّلَاةَ عَلَيَّ. And those people, Persians, they will be following my sunnah, and they will be praying upon me, making salawat and durud, yuksirun, making it a lot. Okay, and we saw actually the Persians who do this. Okay, so all of them, Junayd al-Baghdadi and all of them people, okay, Ma'ruf al-Karhi, all of them, they used to do 50,000, 60,000 durud sharif per day. Okay, so as you can see, so these are the things. So as you can see, hadith are narrated, all of them in Bukhari, Muslim, and Imam Ahmad, authentic hadith. So we do not have the, as we said, we do not have the principle of you being Arabian makes you better than me, as well as you being non-Arabian makes you worse. We do not have that. Okay, so as Rasulullah said, we are all of us son of Adam, and Adam is from the dust. Alayhi salatu wasalam. So we are all from the dust. And us being different tribes is not because some is better than the other, but as Allah said, لِتَعَارَفُوا, so you will recognize each other. It's not because of anything else. Okay. I think that much should be enough, inshallah. Or any questions? Yeah.
So Sheikh, straight away the question will arise: how come today in England some people have made a big deal out of this and saying, you know, you have to believe this, that the essence of the Arabs is superior to the essence of the non-Arabs? I don't know what they mean by essence, but in English it would mean like maybe your soul or something. So why are people excited about this and passionately believe it? Even the non-Arabs argue about this today. Is it just because Ibn Taymiyyah said it? I mean, it's a very strange thing to argue about.
For me, it's a bit strange. For example, you know, each single tribe, they do have their own weaknesses, as well as they do have some certain thing which specifically belong to them. Am I right? Now, for example, do you know Balkhis? Okay, so the Balkhis are very well known of being greedy.
Right.
Okay, or for example, each single group, they do have some certain traditional defect as well as traditional virtue. Am I right? For example, Chechenian people, they are very well known for their courage. Am I right? Russians are very well known for their intelligence. Japanese are known for their maybe like academical thing. Do you understand what I mean? And maybe Germans are known for their performance. When they make the technology performance on the so each of them, they do have some certain thing. For example, among the Arabians, Banu Tay are very well known for their generosity. Yemenis are known for their softness. So it is just traditional thing, you know. Okay, so definitely Rasulullah did make a statement in different occasions. So once Rasulullah was talking about the people of Yemen, he said, people of the sheep are softer. And then Rasulullah was talking about the Najdis, he said, people of the camel are pride and tough. Okay, so it's because, as we say, you are whatever you eat. Okay, but in terms of Arabians, all of Arabians, they do have better morals, etc. So each single tribe, they do have some defects, as well as they do have their own beauties also. Okay, for example, I don't want to be offensive. Okay, so I do love Arabians as well as non-Arabians, as long as they're good people. So for example, I'm a lecturer in the UK for the last 6 years. Okay, and I hold a lot of classes in the places of Arabians and non-Arabians also. So only the people who come to my class is Pakistanis, you know. Only I had one Arabian or 1.5 Arabian. One Arabian, Syrian, okay, and 1.5 Arabian whose father was Arabian and mother is English convert lady. Okay, so it is very bad indication of Arabians in the UK, you know. They're not concerned about the Islamic education and Islamic activities, you know. But it doesn't mean that they are born with the knowledge. They are born as ignorant as we are. Okay, so but then they are not willing to learn. I don't know, is it because they're too proud or too pride? Okay, or maybe it's because of the same issue. They think that they're Arabians or they're better. And even I remember once, because I have over 20 years of learning and studying experience, you know, and some young man came, Arabian also, and he started debating. Okay, and he's Palestinian, I think. And after all of the debate, I asked him, did you study anything? No. But because he's Arabian, so he's debating because of that. So it is really bad indication, you know. Yeah, so maybe it is good indication of Pakistanis maybe, because they are interested into the religion, am I right? Yeah, so it's, for me, you being Pakistani or Arabian, so what? So you being Arabian doesn't make you better. And there is no any, maybe it's because of Ibn Taymiyyah. So Salafis are emphasizing. If you remember the last time when I came, so they said, anyone who doesn't believe that Allah will make the Prophet to sit on his right side, on the sides of 4 fingers, so he's Jahmi. Okay, so whenever there is not good proof, they insult. And whenever hadith is in Bukhari, they relax, saying hadith is in Bukhari. Relaxing. Okay, so it is like balancing the strength, you know. If no enough ahadith or opposite side of ahadith are stronger, so they will build up the strength by voice, you know, by insulting. Okay, now as you can see, anyone who doesn't accept that Arabians are better, so he's bid'ati, Ibn Taymiyyah is saying.
Yeah.
So just strengthening the proof by his insulting, you know, bad language, you know. Yeah, so maybe it's because of Ibn Taymiyyah making that statement, so that's why it's like accepted.
So also you gave us a sort of fascinating insight about the rules of compatibility. So what people will naturally ask is, okay, what about more common situation even in the past when Islam is expanding and most of the empires are Hanafi, and today more common situation is Muslim man, let's say Arabian man, he's marrying non-Arabian woman. That's more common than Arabian woman marrying not even today. I don't know of any Arabian woman who's married to an Englishman, but I know numerous Arabian men. Some of them will say they are from this group.
No, it's traditional thing of Arabians. For example, you saw how Ibn Qudama described the Arabians. So he said, Ya'nafun. Ya'nafun means they find it miserable, disgusting, to marry off your daughter as Arabian to non-Arabian.
Oh, daughter, not son.
No.
So is there any like appeal in Hanafi madhab? Like if, it sounds funny, but let's say my son, I'm Arab, my son married an English girl. Can I complain to you as a Hanafi judge and say, look, how is this not, it's not compatible? It's not possible.
There is no any.
Okay.
Because Arabian family, if I'm Arabian, I will marry off my son to an English lady, for example. So my relatives, they will not blame on me. They will not make fun of me. Because so it's our tradition.
Oh, I see.
So that's why, because Islam hasn't been revealed for the angels, but it's for human beings with their caprices and egos. And Sharia is establishing the relationship between human being and God, as well as between human being each other, to decrease the reasons for harming each other, you know. Now, as I explained, so if I'm Arabian, if I would marry off my daughter to non-Arabian, so then my relatives would blame on me and they would make a friction, or they would make fun of me. So Sharia gave me a right to protect myself from the people. Okay, but in front of God, there is nothing to do with Arabian and non-Arabian.
Right.
But it's just to protect my honor from my relatives. Because for Arabians to accept that our daughter married to non-Arabian, for them is big thing, you know. So it's just to protect us from each other. So concept of kafa is just to protect ourselves from each other.
So what about those people who say concept of kafa is there to protect the women from divorce? Like for example, if the man is, let's say two people are marrying, like an Arab woman is marrying non-Arab, and then later on she's going to say, oh, he has got bad habits and he's like ajnabi or whatever. Is there any such thing in Hanafi?
No, that could be one of the reasons, but mainly because we're Hanafis, we gave the full right, 100% right, to the lady, mature lady, to marry off herself to anyone that she wants to.
Anyone, right.
So even a father cannot get engaged. Okay, but in the same time, Sharia shouldn't oppress me as a father if she makes a wrong choice to make me blameful in front of my family. So Sharia gave me right of invalidating that marriage if that marriage is that type of marriage which brings blame and shame on me. But then Sharia specified what is a valid shame and what is just ego and caprice of a people, by putting specific criteria of the kafa'a.
I see. So then, Sheikh, one last question, since you mentioned this. In Hanafi madhab, when, because people then talk about forced marriage. Sadly, again, this is another topic which came up. I don't want to bring you onto this because it's a big topic. But it's clear in Hanafi madhab, I believe, that even a virgin, she can choose. Right?
Of course,
so the worst that can happen in system of kafa in Hanafi madhab is father, he doesn't agree, so he appeals. But no way father can force daughter to marry someone she doesn't like. Impossible.
No, of course not.
Even if she's virgin.
No, we do have some chapter in our Hanafi books which called al-ikrah, force. so you make some transaction by being forced. Okay, so we say that transaction is valid but depending. What's the meaning of depending? We say as soon as that mean of force will disappear, you have a right to invalidate that straight away.
Right.
For example, I have a gun and I will say to you, you are selling your house to me. Okay, or you are marrying off your daughter to someone. Okay, or for example, I will force my daughter, okay, saying, if you do not marry my nephew, I will divorce your mother. So that is force. Did you understand? So then my daughter marries my nephew, okay, and when this meaning of force will disappear, okay, and then for example after marriage they moved to Saudi, for example. Now I cannot force her no more. So as soon as she lands there, she says, I'm choosing to not to carry on with you. Now it's just gone, invalidated.
It's valid.
Invalidated.
Right.
But if she, after landing, she says, okay, that's now it's done, I'm okay with it. So we say it was valid from the beginning.
So
But valid depending, yes. So, but she has to invalidate it to use her choice. She has to invalidate it as soon as the meaning of the force will disappear.
Okay.
For example, father died, straight away she will get up saying, I'm not happy with it. And there is another issue. Some of the Hanafis say that right of invalidation will be on till they will have a baby.
Right.
Okay? Why? Because now the right of the third person is there, and mother doesn't have a right to invalidate, because baby has a right to have both of her parents. Do you understand? But then still the valid official position says that mother is still, even after having 10 babies, she still holds that right. And as soon as that force will disappear, even after having babies, she can get up saying, I don't want you, and that's it. Marriage is invalidated.
So Hanafi madhab is very, you can say, early women's rights movement.
Of course. We do have chapter of Ikrah. Okay, so all of the things under the chapter of Ikrah actually. So even the transactions, for example, buying, selling, hiring, renting. So if all of them has been done by forcing, we say it is valid, but depending. As soon as the person who is forcing will be unable to implement what is he warning about, so that person has a right to get up saying, I don't want it. We say invalidated. Yeah.
So again, it seems a very strange question, but you just have to trust me, there's some very strange people out there.
Yeah.
Let's say they almost try and introduce forced marriage into Islam. So they say, example, I have a son, he's baby, you have a daughter, she's baby, we agree. So it's like an engagement, you know, my son will marry your daughter. And then now, is that contract, when the daughter, she reaches age of understanding, now can she say, you did this without my permission, I didn't have any understanding, I refuse?
Actually, in Hanafi madhab, we say it is valid, but it will be depending only, I mean, both of the sides, they have a choice, only if this transaction has been performed by anyone who is not father and grandfather. For example, when I was baby, my uncle or my mother married me off to some girl, and we both were immature. And when we became mature, now actually it is the time for us just to move to one house and to live together. Okay, so then I am as well as that lady as soon as she becomes mature, because marriage has been applied by non-father and non-grandfather. She can stand up saying, I don't want this marriage. We say it's straight away invalidated. But if it is done by father or grandfather, we say it is valid. And only the way out is divorce or khula.
Right. So does she have the right of khula?
Khula, yes, of course. Khula is all the time it's there.
Right. So, because what people will use that to argue is then you can force a woman virgin to be married, but it's equal for boys and girls actually.
No.
It's not just women.
Okay.
Because if, for example, my daughter, I married her to some guy, and so she's like, I don't, you know, she didn't, at that time she has no idea. So she can't say yes or no, she's a baby. So when she becomes mature, it's still valid contract.
You know, in Hanafi madhab there is two different things, immature and mature. So, for example, immature still can carry on contracting, am I right? But because immature, doesn't understand what is good and what is wrong, so wali will be doing it on behalf of her. What is the contracting? For example, you have a daughter, okay, and I will bring saying, okay, because your daughter looks very, is going to be really great scholar, so here is 10,000 pounds. So to accept 10,000 pounds, she has to be mature. Am I right? You say that's why she cannot accept it, but it is her money, so it will go through you to her.
Right.
But if she would be mature, then there is no way, but only she has to accept it by herself. But even if I will give it to you, you are only like a representative, just to pass it on to her. But when she was immature, you are the one actually who is acting on behalf of her properly. Okay, so it is two different things. So, during the childhood, she doesn't understand what is good and what is wrong. So that's why acceptance of the father will be her acceptance. But as soon as she becomes mature, she will take it back to her. So that's the thing actually.
Because in my community, 90% of baby girls and baby boys will be married to their cousins before they have mature. So it's like an agreement between.
But it is two different things. One is marriage and one is just promise.
Promise, yeah.
Yeah, promise is nothing.
But the promise is not binding. Like so, if I say, for example, my daughter is married to her cousin.
Yeah.
And we arrange this marriage, and we do it when she's 5.
Yeah.
So it's valid.
Yeah.
She has to now have it dissolved. She has to go to a Ghazi when she's mature and say, I don't want this.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
But she can go to someone like a mufti or a judge and say, this marriage is, I don't like this guy.
No, if it is performed by mother or uncle or anyone who's not father and grandfather from the father side, so as soon as girl becomes mature, just in front of the people, she will say, my mother, while I was child, she married me off to that young man. I don't want him. We say finished. But she doesn't go through the qadi and other procedure. So just in front of people, she will say it's done.
So how about if it's father? How can she get out of it?
Yeah, so she'll apply for khulu actually. So she can apply directly to the husband or through the qadi, through the judge. Yes. Yes. So it is actually. Yeah.